beasts, aren't they? Chuffed to bits. The smallest little thornback. I'm just concentrating on not leaving the rod over the side. And his eyes. He's got amazing eyes. Doggy in the boat. Golden mullet. There's a bit of weight to that, you know. And that's what we want, don't we? We don't want the same all the time. We want something different, a good old show. Hello and welcome to the channel. I've got no rods in the water and I'm not fishing. I need to get a bait in the water. I need to get fishing soon. Always the way, innit? Panic, panic, panic. Start fishing. Once you've got a rod in the water, everything's good. It's just getting that first one in the water. And it's a bit exciting for me today. I haven't used my Fireblades in what feels like forever. And my newly serviced Penn 525 Mag 3s. And when I say newly serviced, this might all go wrong. I've had them completely apart, all bearings changed, all 6 bearings. And if I haven't done it properly, this might be a very short fishing session. As in, not at all. But yeah, no, it's exciting. I've never fished this position, this mark. And credit where credit's due, Facebook pages and all, someone was talking about this the other day, and I couldn't for the life of me think why I hadn't fished here before. And there is no reason why. So I thought, do you know what? I've got some bait, I've got some time, and I'm mad keen for it. Mad keen. So my natty little neoprene cases for my super duper multipliers. I love these. They're pretty. They seem to do the job. I'm not very good. And today, I'm going for broke. I've moved the reel to the bottom position, to the lowest position. Gonna have a little play. I'm not having to cast very far today, to be honest, so it seems a bit pointless. But I just fancy having a little play with my casting as well as my fishing. Ooh, that's slippery. Nearly went. Note to self, don't step on the green stuff. I'm right on the edge of it as well. I might move back a little bit. Because you know the inevitable is going to happen. But if I catch it on film, it'd be a comedy moment. So we're not far away from getting a rod out. What are we going to go for a rig? So I think, just because I'm going to get one rod out and get fishing, I'm going to go for a 3-hook flapper. And on one of the hooks, it's got some bejazzle floaters. Bejazzle floaters. It's got floating beads on it. It's got floating beads on it because I think the chance we've got here of catching is going to be bass. School bass. With the possibility of some larger bass. You do get some bigger bass around here from time to time. The reports are few and far between. Get this clipped on. Let's get this clipped on. Apologies for any noises in the background, apart from the seagulls and the sound of everything near the water. We are almost in the centre of Southampton, which is a city. So there's loads of other noise going on as well. Now I've got to try and decide what I'm going to put on as a weight. I don't really want a grip lead. I'm going to put a 5-ounce plain lead. 5-ounce plain lead and see how it goes. If it rolls around too much, I don't want it, I don't really want it to roll around. I've only got one bait of choice today, and that's ragworm. But there's some big old snakes in here. Oh, there is some big old snakes in here as well. God, Lord of duck, look at the size of that. It's like an anaconda. Let's go for a medium worm on the hook that I think is the most likely to catch, which is the upper hook with the bejazzle. And then I might put bits of worm on the lowers just to see how we fare. I've got my big warm suit on because I'm going to fish a couple of hours up the tide and 1 or 2 hours down the tide. I think the flood is going to be where it's all going to happen. But as soon as the lights go out, as soon as it gets dark, I think it's going to get very cold very quick. There was a frost this morning and there's already a bit of a chill in the air. Yeah, so pretty cold. So that's 3 baits, 1 rig. Cover my bait up, keep it out. 1 rod out and we're fishing. I'll rig the other rod and I'll get straight back to you. I've adjusted my positioning a little bit, and in the background you can see the Itchen Bridge. 1 rod's in the water and I'm fishing. 3 hook flapper loaded with ragworm. Biggest ragworms on the top hook with some really bright floating beads to make it wave around in the current. And we're going to be starting the flood very soon. And then this rig, I'm using a flat lead. It is a clip down wishbone rig, and while they're daylight hours I'm going to use some bejazzle, see if I can winkle out a flounder. They've been few and far between, but a few have shown recently. So I'm going to load these up with not too big a ragworm. I don't want huge ragworm on these. I don't want these snake monsters. I've got to try and find some smaller ragworm. That sort of size. I've been a little bit lazy and these hooks aren't the best. There's a lesson for me, isn't it? Should have gone through my kit last time. That should never have found its way back into a rig wallet. I've got some other hooks and I've got some other rigs, so I'm going to have a go and find one with a nice... It's still got a point to it, but the hook's a bit rough. And that's 1 bait. Oh, a lot of these worms, they're too big. Don't usually complain when they're sizable, but these are too big. And load this one out. And these rods are going to go in 2 separate places. So I've got 1 in the bay, hopefully for a bass, and I'm going to put 1 in the channel, hoping to intercept the flounder as they come in with the tide. All very academic, I know. Until you catch something, it's all a load of rubbish. My first cast was a bit of a flop, as in a flop cast. There was no power in it. I need some casting lessons, that's what I need. I need someone that really knows their turkey to come and teach me how to fly. Clip this on. Then we've got to clip this down. So we need to take up some of this slack. Take up some of this slack. Always easier to clip them down when they're actually hanging off the rod tip, as opposed to any other way. I'm clipping these into an imp. All nice and tensioned up. I've just given my hands a bit of a clean. And then we need to get this one out in a different direction to the other one. So we're fishing 2 different areas of water. And I could go right down to the water's edge, but this stuff is slippery. So no, not today. There we are. Another rod out, doing its thing. So we've got 2 rods out and we're fishing. 3 hook flapper for bass in the bay. 2 hook wishbone rig for flounder or bass out in the channel. See what happens. And I'm all tidy. I've got hardly any kit with me today. I've gone total minimalistic. Come on, fishies. Exciting stuff. So exciting. Don't let the bright sun or the clear skies fool you. It's cold, and you can tell that because I've got my big thermal suit on. But I've also come prepared. I've got my Zippo pocket warmer. Not sponsored or anything, bought this myself. It is screaming hot. So I bought one to try it out because you set fire to it. It's on fire by all accounts. I don't know. It's not electric. It had petrol poured in it and I had to light it. So that's going back in my pocket, keeping me nice and warm. And when it gets really grim later, it's going to be a godsend. I tried it out the other day, lasts between 6 and 8 hours. It says 6 hours, it was hot at 8 hours. So yeah, got me pocket warmer, got me suit, got me hat. All good stuff. Just need a fish. Need to save the blank. One fishy, save the blank, job done. Worth mentioning the setup that I'm using today. I haven't used them for a while. They're my Century Fireblades, which is the budget end of the Century range. Penn 525 Mag 3s. They've now progressed onto the Mag 4s. And I can't remember the name of it, but I'm using the tapered line. So it's main line into shock leader without a knot. Makes for really smooth casting. Inevitable at some point I'm going to lose the shock leader end. I'm going to have to add a shock leader, put a knot on. But until I do, I'll enjoy fishing with knotless, for want of a better word. Because it's so cold, I'm tempted to leave the baits for longer today. I don't think there's going to be much in the way of crab action here, stripping my baits, but we'll find out. Half an hour I'm going to give it. Half an hour, and I've got to tease out. So I might have to put a pulley rig on because I've got bigger hooks. I've got 4 rows on the pulley rig, so I've got a couple in the wallet. I might have to put a pulley rig on just to be able to use some of those ragworm. They're so big, and the bodies are so round. They're as thick as my thumb, and I've got proper sausage fingers. So there may be a rig change on one of the rods, and I'm thinking dusk when the light starts to fade and the fish might come on the feed, which coincides with the highest point of the flood. I might just very loosely hook one of those really big ragworm onto a pulley rig. See if I can tease myself out a monster. Apart from all that, it's just a joy to be out. Distance from home, less than 3 miles. Easily less than 3 miles. And I used to live, what you can see in the background, the boat shed's over there. I used to work in that boat shed some years ago. I used to operate a boat crane. And then Kranchi bought it out as their storage. But in the background, the trees, I used to live just over there and lived there for many happy years before we moved to where we are now. And we're literally not that far in a slightly different direction. This is the Itchen River. Behind the camera and round the corner is the Test. So this is the River Itchen. Upriver is to our left. Southampton water is to our right. I'm fishing in an area almost directly underneath the Itchen Bridge. I have had my second bait change now, and pretty much all hooks came back clean. So there are crabs out there. And that was bait change at about 30 minutes. So I'm going to give it 20 minutes and I'm just going to bring the other one in and just thinking about it now. And I'm cycling my way through 3 rigs. So I've got a clip down wishbone rig, hoping for possibly a flounder. A 3 hook flapper, shot to anything. And a pulley rig with a pennel on it, which on that last chuck I put a dirty great big ragworm. It's like an anaconda. But nothing's taken a shine to it. And I'm just going to work my way through those three rigs. So pretty much every rod's going to have a change each time. And just explore what's here and what's possible. So that's the pulley rig that's just come back. And yeah, something's had a right go at that. And looking at the pinch marks all along it, that looks like crabs. It looks like crabs. So I can't leave the bait out that long. It's definitely been picked and pulled apart. You never know. There just might be that one solitary big bass cruising the waterways, ready to go. So as expected, it's been quiet. Probably got another hour and a half. What time is it? About an hour and 20 minutes of the flood. And if anything's going to happen, just before the top of the tide, the sun should start going down. And it's that witching hour, that sort of time where you really want to have a bait in the water. So I'll have fresh baits ready to go out, especially for then. At the moment, I'm just prospecting. The rods are out. I'm not really expecting that much. But I'm hopeful of being able to winkle something out. It'd be devastating to have a blank. But it's that time of year, you know? It's that time of year where it's just hard work. It is proper hard work. The right hand rod at the moment has got a snake of a ragworm on it. So I've put it on a pulley rig with a pennel. So I've fed the line, I've fed the ragworm all the way up and then pennelled it in through the mouthpiece. And it's sat between 2 hooks and it's the best part of a foot long. It is an absolute python. If there's anything out there that wants that, I'd like to see it. I would very much like to see it. But if you don't put it out there, you're never going to know, are you? So I'm still cycling between my 3 rigs. 20 minutes and my baits were stripped. I'm going down to 15 minutes now. There's no point leaving the hook out there if it's bare. Haven't had any bites yet. Haven't even had any inquiries. And the crabs are stripping my baits. So I'm down to 15-minute bait changes. And I'm starting to zoom it out into the deep water channel as opposed to fishing in close. That may be a mistake, I don't know. But I'm quite happy to bring one rod in and fish a bit closer later on. But at the moment, I'm zooming them and going as far as I can. We're getting close to high water, although it's not quite there yet. And we're at that witching hour. You know, we've talked about it many times on the channel. It just feels right, it feels fishy. So I'm going to fresh bait, put all my effort into amazing baits. See if we can't winkle anything out. But it's looking like a blank at the moment. Still plenty of time yet. I'm not desperate yet. High tide and the entire flood, not even a bite. I still haven't had a bite, so it's been absolutely dire. But if you ain't got a bait in the water, you ain't in with a chance. And I've certainly put enough bait in the water. I've been drowned in worms for the last, I don't know, what is it now? 4 hours? 3 hours? Of which possibly 2 hours of that was truly fishable, as in expecting to possibly catch something. But yeah, drowned, loads of worms. I thought I had one minor inquiry, didn't really come to anything, didn't develop. And there they are, 2 stationary rod tips with not a bite between them. If something changes, you know I'll get back to you. And if I do catch something, I'll show you. But when it comes to quits time tonight, I'm going to be packing up and heading for the van prompt to. As always, it's been a pleasure, never a chore. Take care, tight lines, and I'll see you soon. But from me, for now, from here, it's goodbye. And I'll see you soon.